Did you know that one of Hollywood's biggest stars, someone we all grew up watching, someone who gave us some of the most unforgettable characters ever, was completely shunned by the very industry he helped define? Dumped. Cancelled. Left behind like he didn't matter anymore. And the worst part? It all happened so fast. Right in front of the world's eyes. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does someone go from being one of the most beloved actors on earth to being shut out overnight? Hey! If you've ever found yourself asking, what really happened to Johnny Depp, you're not alone. Millions of people around the world have asked the same thing. And today, we're going to sit down together and talk about it. His story is more than just tabloid gossip. It's emotional. It's painful. And it's also surprisingly inspiring. So grab a seat, and let's go back to where it all began. Johnny Depp wasn't just a movie star. He was an artist. From the very start of his career, he chose roles that were different. He didn't want to be the stereotypical Hollywood heartthrob. He didn't care about fitting into anyone else's mold. He wanted to play characters who were broken, misunderstood, human. And boy, did he do that. Edward Scissorhands. Jack Sparrow. The Mad Hatter. Sweeney Todd. Every one of them was unforgettable. Every one of them had that depth. That sadness behind the eyes. That quiet pain you couldn't help but feel. And maybe, that's because Johnny himself knew what it was like to feel that way. He didn't grow up in a perfect home. Far from it. His childhood was rough. His mother was abusive, both physically and emotionally. The home he grew up in wasn't warm or safe. It was full of chaos and pain. He's talked before about how he used to hide in his room, just to escape it all. He found solace in music. In art. In anything that could take him away from what he was living through. And even years later, after becoming one of the most famous people on earth, that pain never really left him. One of the most powerful things he's ever said was about his mother. After she passed, people asked him why he didn't hate her. Why he didn't hold on to anger for everything she'd done to him. And he said, and I'll never forget this, no one's perfect. She was a troubled woman, but she was still my mom. Isn't that incredible? To forgive someone like that. To still hold space for them in your heart. It says so much about who Johnny is. But even someone with that kind of heart, can still be brought to his knees. By the mid-2010s, everything started to change for Johnny. At first, it was subtle. A few bad headlines here and there. Rumors about his marriage. Whispers of trouble on movie sets. And then, it all exploded. His marriage to actress Amber Heard was falling apart, and it was ugly. The kind of ugly you can't hide from the cameras. There were accusations of abuse. Shocking claims. Both of them telling wildly different stories about what happened behind closed doors. And Hollywood? Hollywood didn't wait to see who was telling the truth. Almost overnight, Johnny's career took a nosedive. He was dropped from big franchises. Disney, who had made billions off his portrayal of Jack Sparrow, quietly distanced themselves. Warner Brothers replaced him in Fantastic Beasts. Directors stopped calling. Roles stopped being offered. It must have felt like whiplash. Imagine that. Giving decades of your life to something. Pouring your heart and soul into your craft. And then one day, it's like none of it matters anymore. Like you've been erased. He later summed it up himself, saying, I was shunned, dumped, cancelled, however you want to define it. That word, cancelled, it's become part of our culture now. But what does it really mean? For Johnny, it meant losing not just jobs, but friends. Invitations to parties stopped coming. Even people who had once praised him started staying quiet. But here's where the story changes. Johnny didn't just disappear quietly. He didn't let himself be erased without a fight. He decided to tell his side. He went to court. He gave interviews. He spoke about what he'd lived through. About the lies he said were told about him. About how hard it was to watch everything he'd worked for get ripped away because of something he claimed wasn't even true. And something remarkable happened. His fans never left. In fact, they rallied. They took to social media. They made hashtags trend, like hashtag justice for Johnny. They shared his old movie clips. They reminded everyone why they'd loved him in the first place. It was a reminder to the world, Johnny Depp wasn't just another celebrity scandal. He was a person. And while Hollywood was busy turning its back, the rest of the world wasn't so sure. In Europe, film festivals kept inviting him. They gave him awards. They celebrated his work. Because to them, the art still mattered. Even through all of it, Johnny never played the victim. He never lashed out the way some might have. He didn't trash everyone who turned their backs on him. He stayed calm. And he kept saying one thing, the truth would come out. It's something he's always believed. And isn't that the kind of strength we all wish we had? Even while he was being publicly humiliated, he showed grace. He forgave people who hurt him. He focused on moving forward, little by little. And here's another thing most people don't know. While Hollywood was canceling him, European festivals were still celebrating him. Cannes, San Sebastian, Karlovy Vary. They all invited him, rolled out the red carpet, and stood by him. Because they understood something a lot of us forget, a person's worth isn't defined by the worst thing someone says about them. There's a lesson in that for all of us. It's easy to jump to conclusions when you hear a shocking headline. It's easy to assume the worst. But Johnny's story is proof that there's always more to it than what you see on the surface. And maybe that's why we've always loved him. Think about it. Every one of his characters, from Edward Scissorhands to Jack Sparrow, was misunderstood. Broken. A little lost. And yet, lovable. Now we know why. Because Johnny himself has lived that story. He knows what it's like to feel like an outsider. To have people judge you without really knowing you. That's why his characters felt so real. And that's why his fans never gave up on him. Little by little, Johnny's been finding his way back. It hasn't been easy. Not at all. When you've been through what he has, the public humiliation, the lawsuits, the whisper campaigns, the sense that everyone's turned against you, it leaves scars. Even someone as strong as Johnny Depp can't just flip a switch and feel like himself again overnight. But that's the thing about him, he's never been about the overnight fix. He's never been about the big dramatic gesture or the kind of Hollywood comeback that's all about glitz and headlines. No. Johnny's way has always been quieter, more personal, more real. You can see it in the little things. He's been showing up more, in ways that matter to him. You might notice him walking a red carpet here or there again, not with the swagger of a superstar but with the calm of someone who's been through hell and come out on the other side. His smile seems more genuine now. There's something softer in his eyes, something almost peaceful, as if he's made peace with what happened and decided to move forward on his own terms. He's been taking on new projects too. Not necessarily the biggest blockbusters or the highest paying gigs. Instead, he's choosing roles and collaborations that mean something to him creatively, that speak to his soul as an artist. That's always been who he is, an artist first, a movie star second. And now, more than ever, he seems to be returning to that part of himself, the part that fell in love with storytelling back before the fame, back before the studios, back before the world got so loud. And perhaps most importantly, he's been reconnecting with the people who always believed in him. The real friends. The people who stood by his side when everyone else ran away. He's been seen spending time with longtime collaborators, musicians, and even his loyal fans, many of whom never stopped believing in him for a second. You can tell those connections mean more to him now. After everything, he understands how rare and precious true loyalty really is. But this isn't the kind of flashy comeback you see in the movies. It's not some triumphant, camera-ready moment where he stands on a stage and declares himself back, while the world cheers. No, his comeback is different. It's quiet. It's slow. It's deeply human. Because real healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens little by little, breath by breath, one small step at a time. For someone like Johnny, who's always worn his heart on his sleeve, the idea of pretending everything is fine just to please the cameras would feel like a lie. So instead, he's choosing honesty, letting himself be seen as someone who's still a little hurt, still a little vulnerable, but also still here. Still standing. That's what makes his journey so relatable. Because haven't we all felt that way at some point? Like the world turned on us, like everyone judged us without knowing the full story, like we were left to pick up the pieces of a life we didn't even break. And didn't we all wish we could find the strength to stand back up, even if it was slow? That's what Johnny's doing. He's showing us what resilience really looks like. Every smile, every small public appearance, every quiet step forward, it's a choice he's making. A choice to keep moving. A choice not to let the worst moments of his life define him forever. And you can tell that he's different now, in ways that only someone who's been through something like this can be. There's a weight to him that wasn't there before. A sense of perspective. A deep understanding of what really matters and what doesn't. That's why his smile means more now than it used to. It's not the smile of a carefree young star who thinks the world loves him. It's the smile of a man who's been broken, but not beaten. A man who knows that no matter how dark it gets, there's still light if you keep going long enough to find it. His story is a reminder to all of us that healing doesn't have to look perfect. It doesn't have to be big or dramatic. Sometimes it's just about waking up each morning and deciding to try again. Sometimes it's about choosing to smile even when it still hurts. Sometimes it's about saying yes to a new project even when you're scared the world will judge you again. That's what Johnny's been doing. And little by little, it's working. You can see the way his fans still show up for him. The way the world is slowly opening its arms again. The way even Hollywood, cautious as it is, seems to be watching, waiting, ready to welcome him back when he's ready. Because people can sense authenticity. And Johnny's always been authentic, even when it cost him everything. Now, as he continues his quiet return, you get the feeling that he's doing it not to prove anything to anyone else, but just for himself. To reclaim the joy of his craft. To remind himself that he still has a place in the world. To honor the boy inside him who used to hide in his room, dreaming of a better life. And maybe, in a way, that's the most powerful kind of comeback there is. Not the loud, flashy kind where everyone's watching, but the quiet, steady kind where you rebuild your life piece by piece, in your own way, in your own time. Johnny Depp is finding his way back. And watching him do it, gives the rest of us hope that we can too. But it's real. And that makes it even more powerful. So here we are today. Looking at a man who's been through hell, and is still standing. Maybe a little more bruised. Maybe a little more guarded. But still himself. Still the artist we fell in love with all those years ago. So what can we learn from Johnny's story? Maybe it's this. Don't believe everything you hear. Give people the chance to tell their side. And never forget that even the brightest stars can have the darkest struggles. Before we wrap up, let me ask you something. What surprised you the most about Johnny's story? Was it how fast Hollywood turned on him? How forgiving he's been? Or the way his fans stood by him through everything? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd really love to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into his journey, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. We've got plenty more untold Hollywood stories coming your way. And don't go anywhere, check out our next video on how Johnny's real-life struggles inspired his most iconic roles. Because if you think about it, every one of those characters. Jack Sparrow, Edward Scissorhands, the Mad Hatter, they all had that same broken, misunderstood soul. And now we know why. Because Johnny himself knows what it's like to feel that way. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time.